as we are watching people brag about their drinks and their food, their bougie gold Christmas tree and their gold plated stockings and their white stockings and their empty space of a Muslim pretending to be American and bougie outfits of gold and black and white as if that's American Christmas. However, that's Muslim. That's a Muslim person calling herself Persian, producing content to violate the civil rights of all of America. How can you do that to somebody else is the question that each and every one of you want to ask yourselves as you're sitting across from a influencer who thinks they're winning in life while they're making all of you at the table losing. Not because they're specifically doing anything except for being selfish, egotistical, vile, titty showing, clit rubbing, abusive, negligent, and the list goes on and on. How could anyone like Kim Kardashian produce a piece of content violating Santa Claus while they're trying to make the Grinch the new Santa Claus? How could a person who has so much ability to reach so many people disintegrate the idea of what it means to be a human so that she can get the attention of a woman standing in front of a pink Christmas tree naked after she just went to Congress to talk about child abuse? Well, she wears nothing but a red bow as if she's the present, a gift that you would give your husband privately, not millions of other women's husbands. It's unbelievable to me what you women are capable of. It's unbelievable to me what is going on here. The disrespect for humanity and the lack of care as you all yell out authenticity. Authenticity is definitely what Kamala Harris is presenting in the form of what she thinks joy is. That's devil worshiping. It's pretty clear when we're looking at Sabrina Carpenter abuse the hell out of audiences while you just stand there and cheer that on. How could you do that to those people? How could Taylor Swift do those things to all those people and then show up at a children's hospital with sick children? And then how could you as an audience believe that to be true? That shit's a lie. How could she do that to people? How could Taylor Swift do all those things to humanity so that she could win in her eyes of winning? How could these women produce this content while abusing their children? How could you do that to your own children? How could you? How could any of you do these things to me, Mona Van? How could you do that to me? Why and how could you? How could you do that to me, Mona Van? How could you? How could you do that to me? That's the type of bullshit that we're dealing with on a regular basis. How could you? How could you, Persian bitch out of Canada, your entire family, how could you do that to people? How could you do that on your television show and call it reality? How could you? How could you wear those clothes and those outfits and post that shit on Instagram, loving and kissing and being erotic all over your men in front of us? How could you? How could you do that? While you point fingers at other people as if they're the problems, when clearly you women are the fucking problem. How could you? Natural law states ethics and morals, yet none of you show that in any production of any piece of content. This ain't no fucking production, bitch. How could you do that to me? You know exactly what you did to me ever since the day that I stepped foot on this fucking platform. Each and every one of you. How could you do that to me? Sick ass rich fucks. Nepo baby shit. A Nepo baby has no ethics and morals because the parents had no ethics, no morals. And now we're seeing the evolution of what Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton have become with internet structured living. They were never held accountable for anything they did. And now we're being seen all over platform to see what you really are up to, which is absolutely nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. How could you do that to people? How could you think that that's entertainment for other people when clearly it's all selfish, self-righteous, egotistical, low-class behavior of worse, folks, than a person living in a trailer, as they would call you low class. No, you have more class than the rich elite out of LA. You all, how could you do that to those people? While Joe Biden is the problem. How could you do that to this country, Joe Biden? How could you, Kamala Harris? How could you do this to us? How could you allow those whores to wear those outfits with their breasts showing all over platform as if that's normal with their legs spread? How could you allow that shit? That's not civil rights, Kamala Harris. What you speak to as civil rights ain't civil rights, BLM. That's called bullshit. That's called selfishness. That's called lazy. That's called Nepo baby shit. Jasmine Crockett, you are responsible for this shit with all your little clan of the Democrats. How could you do this to us? How could you? How could any other country, after all the shit that we've done for you, how could you do this to us? That even includes you Venezuelan freaks who literally cross the border illegally and then violate our citizens, while all you audience members are flabbergasted and then just say, "Oh, poor thing," because it didn't directly happen to you, because the numbing out that's been created by Paris Hilton, by Mona Van, is catastrophic to the world. How could you? You think you're such hot shit and your little skinny ass body and your expensive house. How could you ruin our lives with your nasty content and then nobody fucking say anything about it? And there she goes again, sitting on a panel talking about her clean eat. How could you? How could you do this shit? How could anybody do this shit to another person? How could anybody do this shit to another human being? How could you? How could you do this to somebody? How could you? How could you do this to somebody? How could you, you bitch? How could you do this